Making training fun, engaging, and memorable. My name is Donna Christie. I'm the founder of NESLIB, which is North East Scotland Ladies and Lads in Business. And we like to catch up with our members to see what's been going on, what's coming, and get all the updates and news. So today we're speaking to Sarah Phillips of First Aid at Work. And there's so much more to that, we know, right, Sarah? So good morning. How are you?
Morning, Donna. How are you?
Super fantastic. Thank you very much. I would hope that summer comes soon because it feels like November, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got my thermals on, Donna.
So we've got a couple of questions for you, but just give everybody a little bit of background about who you are and why you started your business.
Wow. I'll try and keep it as short as I can, Donna. Otherwise, people might have to sort of start getting their pajamas on, ready for bed. So I've been a trainer. I returned to the UK in 2011 from living overseas. And I started with the British Red Cross about 7 years ago. And that's when I really found my love for first aid training. And I was with them for 6 years, loved it. But there was always that little bit inside of me. I've always wanted to have my own business. So I said one day, why not? So I did. And I bought a franchise, First Aid at Work, Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire. Which was great. Family run. I am still a trainer with them. That's the other side of my business, if you like. And then about 6-7 months ago, I then sort of branded First Aid at Work, Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire. So so both companies, both me, still both of my babies, and I love them.
Super. So a lot of people have first aid as a mandatory thing, of course, at work and many other areas. But what makes you different from other first aid training?
I suppose if you ask some of my friends, I'd probably say she's nuts. Yeah, I'm not nuts. I just like to ensure that people go away from a course, not a paper exercise, not a tick in the box, but purely like, do you know what? That was really good. You know what? I really like that. Do you know what she said was actually really made sense. I think it's important that you make sure that people buy into first aid, because a shocking statistic there, Donna, is that 30,000 sudden cardiac arrests happen every single year in the UK, and only 1 in 10 survive. Why? Because so many people just don't know what to do, what they're scared to do. They're scared in case they do it wrong. But my simple guidance to them is, listen, you can't make it any worse than what it is right now. So doing something is way better than doing nothing.
Yeah. I worked with small companies and I was the office manager, and I always had my first aid, but I asked another member of staff to have a first aid, because if anything happened to me,
that's right,
which it did, I had a bit of a atrial fibrillation attack. So I'm trying to keep myself calm and walk through, and I said, who's the first aider? So even though it was a small company, we still had 2 at any one time. So that was important to me. So and now being a grandmother, I did your course with you, so you're quite versatile.
I am.
So what courses can you deliver? Give us some.
There's one thing. I can go from the age of 3 years old. I can go into a nursery of children. It's absolutely fun. The little ones, you go, put a plaster on it, put a plaster on it, put a plaster on it, and it'll drive you nuts. But it's great. The little sponges, and they absorb all that information, all the way to going through to certified courses in construction industry, the other end of things. And many other, not specialized, but forestry, first aid for forestry, first aid for sports, first aid for schools, first aid for, requalification. And here's my dog. He's part of the family.
He's taking attention.
I do forestry. When I say forestry, outdoor. So what's the word I'm looking for, Donna? First aid for outdoor learning as well, and AED training. There's a lot there, Donna.
You mean like if somebody went away and they put the backpack on and they wouldn't have an idea of how to look after themselves, or if they were traveling around the world, and as well, that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, that's adventure first aid training. I do that now. The adventure first aid training is actually aimed at between 18 and 26-year-olds. And this adventure first aid training is, you can imagine, I remember what I was like as a teenager. So as a parent as well, can you imagine your kids are going off for that first time on holiday? And you're saying, have you got everything? Have you packed everything? Now, don't lose your passport. Don't do this. Don't do that. Make sure, have fun. And you're like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? So this adventure first aid training is, what would you do if you lost your passport? So it's not just first aid. It's also, what would you do if you're abroad and you lost your passport? Also, what would you do if your drink got spiked? What would you do if your friend was, messing around at the side of the swimming pool and they smack their head off the side of the pool? So that is then specific to the environment. And that, to me, my son, well, it's a bit different, but if they had that bit of knowledge what to do, I probably wouldn't have worried so much when they go away and, go on the 18 to whatever holidays it is that they go on.
I can relate to that, because when my son went to the scout camp when he was little, I had the little box, the first aid kit in there, and said, there's a plaster in it.
There's a plaster in it.
Yeah. So very diverse, which is fantastic. So what's going on right now? Because we know what we've all been through. You don't need to go there. We're moving forward now. So what have you got going on, Sarah?
Yeah, you're right, Donna. Businesses are opening back up again, and it's fantastic to see. So I've got lots of open courses. What does that mean? It means that, you can book onto one of my courses, whether it's one person or maybe 2 people, maybe 5 people, coming up end of May, and also June dates are now out for booking. Emergency first aid, refresher first aid, and the full 3-day first aid at work, but with a difference. Not 3 days with me, only 2 days with me, and 1 day is an online training course, which means that it saves businesses having employees away for 3 full days. Anyway, if you want to know more about that, then I'm happy to explain more later. But they're ready for booking in Aberdeen City, in also Aberdeen City Centre and parking, Bridgedon, and in Turriff as well. So
Shire, all around Grampian, really sounds like.
Yeah.
So what could how could somebody help you right now? What are you looking for?
If you're sitting watching this going, oi, when was the last time we did first aid? Pick up the phone, drop me an email, any of that, please do so, and we can get a date scheduled in. Or maybe you're thinking, do you know what? The rugby club coaches, they need a first aid training course. So it could be just people in their own private life, in their hobbies and interests. Maybe they do need that training course. Or maybe they've got a bunch of teenagers that are just about to fly their wings because they can now get on an aeroplane and go on holiday. And you think,
There's so much going through my mind. And I remember if I hadn't have done basic first aid, my husband had a moment with Stanley,
Oh yes, that's a common.
So my first pressure, anyway, it served my husband. So yeah, exactly.
Tape.
So for everybody from at home, children, right through to corporate, absolutely fantastic. Well, listen, we know things are moving forward, and I wish you much more success.
Yes.
And we'll see you at a networking somewhere, I'm sure, very soon. So for now,
absolutely.
Take care, Sarah. And one last thing, how do we get in touch with you?
Oh, well, if you type into Google, First Aid at Work, Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire, you'll find me. Oh, hello. You can also find me on Facebook, First Aid at Work, Aberdeen, Aberdeenshire, and Mini First Aid Aberdeen. You can, just Google me. You'll find me. My website as well, First Aid at Work, Aberdeen. I think that's pretty much it, isn't it? I think that's
You're on LinkedIn, I guess. LinkedIn.
Oh yes, LinkedIn, big on LinkedIn, love LinkedIn, and Facebook as well. And that woman with the red hair and the golden retriever dog He's part of the family, by the way. CPR and the dog is pretty much the same.
How to be remembered. Red hair and a dog, just like me and my sunflowers and water, right? All right. Well, listen, take care for now. And if you want to get in touch with Sarah, I'm sure it'd be fun, engaging, and memorable.
That's right. Thanks, Donna, ever so much. And we'll see you shortly.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.